Tonight on Joynews Prime, Professor Michael Quay nominated again as Speaker for the 8th Parliament after a meeting of the party's council and leadership of the Majority Caucus. The party is meanwhile cautioning the NDC it risks losing the deputy speakership if it refused to cooperate.
His Excellency the President and Council believe that considering the slimmest nature of our Parliament, he will be prepared to go with the current Speaker of Parliament. Professor Michael.
In another development, minority MPs who failed to appear in court today on charges of failing to notify the police of a special march insist they are unaware of the summons.
Regrettably, we don't respond and will not respond to social media invitations by the Ghana Police Service. I have not been personally served, as is the requirement of the law, and many of my colleagues.
Supreme Court set January 5 to rule on calls for a rerun of the Hohoe constituency parliamentary election in a case with the potential to disrupt the balance of power in Parliament. Also in the bulletin, government is being asked to step up its COVID-19 protocols at the airport by quarantining all arriving international passengers. In business, Ghana International Trade Commission begs for patience as dispersed investment laws and uncertain custom regimes place the Continental Free Trade Agreement in suspense. My name is Israel Lai. Joynews Prime is coming to you live from our Fanofa studios at Kokomlemle here in Accra, on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air, and also on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is the home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. Stay tuned. The Supreme Court has set January 5 to deliver its ruling on whether the whole High Court should be stopped from hearing a case filed by residents of Central Kofi, Akpafu, Likpa, and Lolobi Sal, calling for a rerun of the Hohoe constituency election. This was after it heard legal arguments for nearly 2 hours from lawyers for the party's Deputy Attorney General, Godfred Dame Yeboah, and the man many have tagged as a legal luminary, Chachi Chikata. John Peter Amewu won the election on December 7, but the residents say the EC's failure to create a constituency for them and the prior creation of a new region that saw the area fall within the Oti region meant their rights to vote were curtailed. Court correspondent Joseph Akable has the rest of the story.
Hearing commenced on Monday with lawyer for the South resident Chachi Chikata informing the court that he wants a member of the panel to recuse himself. This is Justice Clemens Honyenuga, who he described as having a long-standing relationship with the Hohoe MP-elect John Peter Amewu. And so the justice was asked by his colleagues on the bench as to whether there's any merit in that allegation, and he said no, he has no such friendship with the energy minister. Afterwards, Mr. Chikata then proceeded to raise the objection, saying that because the justice has failed to recuse himself, he's formally requesting of the court to decide on whether or not he recuses himself. He said he was prepared to call on witnesses that will prove that indeed there was that long-standing relationship between the energy minister and the justice of the Supreme Court. Deputy Attorney General Godfred Yeboah responded in open court that there's no evidence backing the said allegation, and in fact, for such a request to even merit a trial, it ought to come with some evidence in the form of statements that points onto the nature of the relationship. But since that has not been attached, then there's no point in the court heeding to that particular request. The 5-member panel went for break for about 35 minutes and came back with the decision that Justice Honyenuga remains on the panel, indicating that in terms of the interest of Mr. Amewu in this particular case before the Supreme Court, it was too remote because one, he was not an interested party in this particular case that has been filed, and secondly, the case relates to a jurisdiction issue, which is the question on whether or not the whole High Court has the legal mandate to hear the case that involves Mr. Amewu at that High Court. The panel then proceeded to hear the main issue that relates to the case that has been filed by the Attorney General's office. Mr. Godfrey Adami for 20 minutes urged the court to stop the whole High Court from proceeding to hear the matter, insisting that the residents of Sal do not have voting rights in the Hohoi constituency, and that if there is any constituency where they ought to have issues, it has to do with the Buem constituency. He said as far as his office is concerned, it holds the view that the EC erred in not allowing them vote in the Buem constituency, since the court in June stated in clear terms that Sal cannot fall within the Hohoi constituency. Mr. Chikata, who then requested to argue for an hour and a half, told the court that the AG has accepted that some rights have been breached, and so the court should allow the High Court that is properly clothed with the power to determine such matters to deal with it. The court, after hearing both sides, adjourned proceedings to January 5th to deliver its judgment. It has allowed Mr. Chikata 8:30 a.m. to file additional documents if he's minded to do so, while the court says by 12 noon it will deliver its ruling, being mindful of whatever documents that Mr. Chikata may file will be incorporated into the judgment of the court. If it requires it to take some more time, then that decision will be rendered at 2 p.m. on January 5. So this is what transpired at the Supreme Court. Reporting for Joynews from the Supreme Court, my name is Joseph Akable.
Staying with the court, some minority MPs charged in connection with their march the Electoral Commission out of his head office last month on Monday refused to honor court summons to answer charges leveled against them by the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service. Police prosecutors were ready to open the case against the legislators when they realized that minority MPs failed to turn up, forcing the Circuit Court judge to adjourn the case. The minority MPs walked from Parliament House to the Electoral Commission out of his at Ridge, breaking through a police barricade to present a petition to the EC. My colleague Bismarck Kwekwe-Sante was in court and filed this report.
20 NDC MPs, including their leader, Haruna Idrisu, charged in court over their march to the Electoral Commission head office on 22nd December 2020, did not show up in court to answer charges leveled against them by the police CID. When the case was called in the Accra Circuit Court 11 Monday morning, the police prosecutor indicated his readiness to proceed with the case. But with none of the accused persons present or their lawyers in court, the Circuit Court judge was forced to adjourn the case without a new set date. These minority MPs walked from Parliament House to the Electoral Commission head office in Rage and broke through a police barricade to present a petition to the Electoral Commission. The petition demanded a collation of the 2020 Techiman South parliamentary election results. The police, in a statement of offense, accused the minority MPs of failing to notify the police before holding a special event, contrary to sections 1, 2, and 9 of the Public Order Act. The police have also charged them with unlawful assembly, contrary to sections 202 of the Criminal Offences Act. The statement of offences claim the MPs did unlawfully assemble with a common purpose and conducted themselves in a manner likely to cause persons in the Ridge neighborhood reasonable fear. It also accuses them of acting in a manner likely to cause a breach of peace. Quote, "You are hereby commanded in the name of the Republic to appear before this court at Accra on the 4th January 2021. The summons distributed in the pigeonholes of each of the 20 MPs read. The MPs affected by the summons include Deputy Minority Leader James Kluche Aveji, Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak, Ningo Prampram MP Samuel George, former Deputy Interior Minister James Agaga, John Jinapo, Roxin Dafeamepo, Adam Mutawakilu, Ebenezer Telabi, Dr. Kwabna Donko, Alhaji ABA Fuseni, Kofi Bua, Rashid Purple, and Richard Koshiga. The rest are Colin Zauda, Yusuf Jaja, Kwabna Minta Akando, and Kumbungu MP Ras Mubarak. NDC Deputy General Secretary Peter Otukono is the other individual charged in connection with the alleged offences.
Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu has meanwhile justified the NDC MP's decision not to honor a police summons before the Accra Magistrate Court this morning, accusing the police of targeting them for humiliation. He's been addressing a press briefing in Parliament House.
Woke up this morning to some blaze of news in the social media Haruna Idrisu and minority MPs to appear before court, let me state emphatically that the minority leader and members of the NDC in Parliament are an integral part and members of the NDC party, the National Democratic Congress, and we are law-abiding citizens of Ghana. Regrettably, we don't respond and will not respond to social media invitations by the Ghana Police Service. I have not been personally served, as is the requirement of the law, and many of my colleagues. And therefore, I should only be walking to court if there was personal service of that writ of summons. But I should presume, without fear of contradiction, that the Ghana Police Service is allowing itself to be used as a tool of manipulation. I've repeatedly told you that I am not a coward, and I don't intend ever to be cowed by any machination by any person, including the Ghana Police Service. They have some confusion in their mind. They should seek to resolve the confusion, the Ghana Police Service. I've seen names like Dr. Rawlings Ezeneta. She didn't take part in the process. The Honorable Adongo of Bolga didn't take part in the process. So somebody somewhere rehearsed enemies that they are targeting for purpose of humiliation and to project us as if we are not law-abiding citizens. They should resolve those confusions in their minds and come back properly in accordance with law. But even what is more remarkable and significant is that the criminals who so declared results and denied us of our mandate in Techima are walking free. What they did is in breach of law. It's in breach of process. Nobody is prosecuting them. Nobody is prosecuting those who shot and killed the 3 persons acknowledged by the EC in Techima. That is criminal killing. Yet, members of Parliament presenting a harmless petition, and when I say the police is confused, you didn't understand. They should go and get some training in terms of the law. What members of Parliament did was to embark on lawful procession, nothing more, not a demonstration. That's why the Constitution in Article 21 uses the words procession and demonstration. In any case, be informed that the NDC officially notified the Ghana Police Service that the party will embark on a number and series of actions. We are part of the NDC. We took part in that action, but we took part in a lawful, harmless procession. Maybe tomorrow when you are processing to church, they will stop you. God bless. Thank you.
The minority leader Haruna Idrisu says the MPs will use judicial processes to challenge the summons by the court, insisting the NDC MPs committed no crime when they marched to the EC headquarters because the police was adequately informed about the work.
The police is a state institution, and they are expected to be guided by Article 296 of the Constitution to be candid in what they do. And I'm challenging the Ghana Police Service that the Parliamentary Police Service was adequately informed by the whip. The Marshal's Office was adequately informed by the whip on behalf of the Minority Caucus to embark on a peaceful procession, not a demonstration. You can go back to the video. We walk gallantly and freely. They rather tried to cause riots. So thank you very much. I just thought that I should correct it.
So on what basis would any circumstance arise where yourself and your colleagues will submit yourself to any court process that the police may bring back? Because today we gather that they explain to the court why they need to reschedule to a year to be agreed to. Would there be any circumstance based on which you would then agree to submit yourself to the court process?
We will fight it legally, and we'll use the same judicial institutions to safeguard and protect our liberty and freedoms. We are guardians of it, and we jealously guard it.
Elsewhere, High Court in Cape Coast has set judgment of an injunction application filed by one Michael Ankuma Nimfa, a resident of Asing North, on the dual citizenship of the MP-elect for Wednesday. Mr. Nimfa is praying the court to restrain the MP-elect James Joe Jachikwesing from holding himself out as such because he held a dual citizenship at the time of filing. Richard Kojunyako was in court and has come through with the following report.
The petitioner, Michael Ankuma, is a Mason and hails from Asin Breku, same town as the MP-elect in the Asin North constituency. He petitioned the High Court to injunct the MP-elect, Joe Jachikwesing, from holding himself as a Member of Parliament-elect for the area because he offended Article 94 of the 1992 Constitution. In court on Monday, lawyer for the petitioner, Frank Davis, argued the MP-elect for Asin North, Joe Jachikwesing, was ineligible to contest the parliamentary elections since he still held dual citizenship at the time, and the process for his renunciation had not been completed. Frank Davis submitted that in October, when the MP-elect filed to contest the elections as a candidate, he had no certificate to show that he had renounced his Canadian citizenship, but went ahead to indicate he owed no allegiance to any country other than Ghana during the filing of the form with the Electoral Commission. He prayed the court to grant the wishes of the petitioner as what the MP-elect had done since against Article 94 of the 1992 Constitution. Lawyer for the MP-elect, Abraham Amalba, showed the renunciation certificate of the MP-elect that was dated the 26th of November 2020. Abraham Amalba, however, disagrees with the petitioner. He says his client has committed no legal wrong because the process for the renunciation of his Canadian citizenship is complete and now does not hold any dual citizenship. He has been speaking to Joynews and explains the MPP is only seeking to use these tactics to reduce the numbers of the NDC in Parliament to enable them hold the majority in Parliament.
Way back in November 2019, and we've shown to the court the exhibit that indicates that he had renounced his citizenship. Indeed, we also showed a renunciation certificate, which was also in court as an exhibit. I think that what the MPP is trying to do is just to try to get one of our MPs, injuncted, just like what happened in Hohoi, and so they want to equalize. But they don't have a good case, because on all the grounds, we have shown that if it is at the time he was filing, he has renounced his citizenship. If it's at the time that he was elected, he has renounced his citizenship. And if it is the time that he's going to be sworn in, he has renounced his citizenship. So I think that what the MPP is trying to do is to use the judiciary to try to reduce our numbers in Parliament. But I think that we have bold judges who will stand up to the rule of law.
After listening to the various arguments, Justice Kwesi Boakye set Wednesday, January 6, for ruling on the matter. From the Cape Coast High Court, my name is Richard Kojunyako for Joynews.
We're taking a break here on Joynews Prime, but still ahead in the bulletin, Professor Michael Quay nominated again as Speaker for the 8th Parliament after a meeting of the party's council and leadership of the Majority Caucus.
President and council believe that considering the slimmest nature of our parliament, they will be prepared to go with the current Speaker of Parliament.
The party is meanwhile cautioning the NDC it risks losing the deputy speakership if it refuses to cooperate. We have that and more coming up after the break. Do stay tuned in. The Ghana Education Service has announced measures to make up for the contact hours lost during the 10 months that schools were shut down across the country as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. Addressing the media on Monday, Director General Professor Kwesi Opoku-Amankwa said all students will move one class ahead when schools reopen. He added that contact hours have been adjusted to ensure all lessons missed during their stay-home period are accounted for whilst covering lessons for their new class. Joynews' Faustina Safo sat through the news conference and has filed the following report.
We are satisfied that in the current circumstances, the reopening of our schools is safe. So from 15th January, our children in kindergarten, primary and junior high, in both private and public schools, will be back in school.
President Akufo-Addo there announcing the reopening of schools across the country after nearly 10 months of nationwide shutdown. Following his directive, the Ghana Education Service has released an academic calendar which will see the gradual phasing out of the double-track system in senior high schools and the introduction of a semester-based academic calendar in junior high schools. Here's Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Kwesi Opoku-Amankwa.
This time round, JHS will be running semester program. JHS will be running semester program. As we have always done, we make sure that the basic protocols are observed. So there will be disinfection of all schools. There will be provision of Veronica buckets, soaps, hand sanitizers, and tissue papers to the schools. We will also provide the washable and reusable face masks, and then schools will not be available for outside activities. Green track, gold track will still be in there for the second years. There will be double track for the second years, but for first years and then the third years, they will do single track. And as the president indicated, we are phasing out the double track.
According to the service, students lost about 1,701 contact hours, which they hope to make up for by moving pupils one class ahead. Contact hours have also been adjusted to ensure lessons missed during their stay-home period are accounted for whilst covering lessons for their new class.
What we have done is that we've prepared the calendar in such a way that we've taken into consideration the possible the time that we've lost over the period and how we are going to catch up for that time. So if you look at the calendar, it is what we call the all-year-round calendar. It starts from January and ends in December. For the examination class, we expect that the examinations will be written in September, October, and then the year will end for them. On the issue of flouting of restrictions, we've had two phases of school reopening, and we are glad to say that during those two phases of school reopening, there were no major issues of flouting of restrictions. But if for any reason a school flouts the restrictions, there are ways of dealing with that. Not only these restrictions, but all school regulations and things like that. When schools flout them, there are regulations that cater for that.
WASSCE and BEC will now be written in September and November respectively. And for vulnerable children, especially girls who may have dropped out of school, government has introduced a special package that will enable them re-enroll.
In addition to that, as part of our reopening program, we've also put in place something we call school re-entry for the vulnerable, especially for the girls who have stayed home for long and for one reason or the other, they may not be able to go to school. We have a special package through SHEP and girls' education to encourage them to go back to school.
Faustina Safo for Joynews.
The New Patriotic Party and the Majority Caucus in Parliament have decided to once again nominate Professor Michael Quay as the Speaker of the next Parliament. The decision taken at a meeting Monday between the party's MPs and the MPP Council also agreed to maintain Oseche Mensah-Bonsu as Majority Leader. Latif Idris monitored the meeting and has come through with this report.
For the first time in the history of the Republic, Ghana would have a sharply divided legislature. Leadership for the House has thus become one of utmost significance and importance for the two major political parties. I'm talking about the NDC and the MPP. Here at the Alisa Hotel, the governing NPP held a crunch council meeting. In attendance, we have the President and the Vice President to determine who gets the nod to become the next Speaker of Parliament and also the Majority Leader, plus the whip position. General Secretary of the party, John Buedu, has been shedding some light on what exactly transpired at the council meeting.
His Excellency the President and Council believe that considering the slimmest nature of our parliament, he will be prepared to go with the current Speaker of Parliament. Yeah.
Professor Michael.
Yeah, Professor Michael.
Will be the next Speaker of Parliament.
Yeah.
On all of these positions that you have listed, did Council get the buy-in of every single person represented?
Well, it was the question was put to them. So if any single individual had anything to say, nobody prevented anybody. Even as we've taken decision already, one member rose up to even propose another person, only that it was too late in the day. So it was discussed in the atmosphere of tranquility. It was discussed with nobody intimidating anybody and all that. So it is a collective decision of council, to the extent that some of the position, when it is mentioned, everybody claps for it and there's no further discussion and all that. So I think that I want to use this platform to thank the National Council of our party. Had it not been the fact that there were some few additions along the line, they will have accepted the recommendation of the National Steering Committee. They've proven beyond reasonable doubt that they support the National Steering Committee and they are okay with decisions that we take for the party. And I think that it is something that is commendable and it is helping us further create a lot of cohesion and unity amongst ourselves.
We also know that your opponents are busily preparing their own candidates for all of these positions that you have mentioned. How prepared is the New Patriotic Party come the very particular day that this election is?
You are getting it wrong. In terms of leadership of the parliamentary group, they have their own set of leaders. They are not preparing to choose leaders. Fantastic. But that's how the Constitution provides. The Constitution does not even state that it is the majority party that gets speakership. Anybody can be nominated within and outside Parliament, and it will be put to votes. You understand? So it is possible one day in our country you will have a speaker who is coming from a minority side or coming as an independent candidate or something. But I can assure you that with the united front that we have, there's no way we are going to lose the speakership. We will win the first speaker, the first deputy speaker, and by the constitutional dictate, you cannot have one party having all the three speakership positions. So by that, the third one can go. But you can be sure that if they don't cooperate, you may even have a situation where an independent candidate, the only independent candidate, becomes the second deputy speaker. So I think that it is in the interest of all of us to cooperate and not to put up needless contests in order for us to all come together and work together for us to have the cohesion that we need. Because the Ghanaian people have spoken. they were very, very clear about the presidency. They thought that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has done marvelously well, that there's no need for any ambiguity at all. The vote was clear. With Parliament, they think that we must cooperate, we must work together. So I want to see that cooperation among, between ourselves. And if that is done, I think that we'll all we'll move this country forward than where we all met it. Thank you.
You're watching Joynews, Prime. We're taking a break here now to bring you business news. So stay tuned in.
Hello there, welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aitip. Even as the Continental Free Trade Agreement begins, there is some unfinished business I need to draw your attention to. Of course, out of 54 African nations who have committed to join the AFTA program, only 33 countries have ratified the agreement. Also, we have no clue what the customs procedures and infrastructure to facilitate tariff-free trade in this particular spec. Of course, experts say this is very much troubling, especially when customs procedures are the heart of this single market agreement. All 54 countries that have signed up to the single market possess individual trade and investment laws. Ethiopia, for example, prohibited foreign investment in its financial sector, which is a potential breach of the AFTA rule. Ghana too prohibits retail trade of foreigners in its local market, another breach of the AFTA rule. Putting it all in perspective, the Executive Secretary of the Ghana International Trade Commission, Frank Ejikum, says there must be some sense of patience as the AFTA Secretariat is dealing with all these issues.
A regional bloc called ECOWAS, where we set certain standards and certain rules, for instance, in terms of investment, in terms of export and stuff like that. But you'll be told, and Dr. Obin would be best to tell you, that yes, while it's easy to enter some countries with your goods, in some countries it's very, very difficult, even though we've all signed on and ratified these agreements that we've all agreed to abide by. So that it's for us as a people and as countries and governments to abide by the rules that we set for ourselves. I mean, there's no magic wand in saying that one person could come and whip you into place. Once we get committed to doing certain things, we should then see the actualization of it. This demands calls upon political will. You'll be told across ECOWAS that Ghana is a very easy place to deal with because we abide by the ECOWAS regulations in almost all its tenants. Not all the countries do the same. You may ask why. Why is that when Ghana wants to export certain countries or certain countries want to export certain countries, it becomes a problem. But Ghana, you come here and you abide by the rules. It's because we are committed to such processes. And we understand that such processes are what Africa needs in its forward march. And so we can only appeal that all of us get in there. But sooner than later, in terms of the African Continental Free Trade area, those who do not sign up to it will be the losers because the 33 or so countries that have signed up have given the commitment that they want to go ahead. And so we're going to harmonize customs issues, we're going to harmonize trading issues, investment, and we're going to do that.
Well, meanwhile, the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obin, is calling for more clarity on the rules of origin as it will determine clearing and shipping of goods across the continent.
It is very important if this will take effect, especially when it's starting now. We should know certain information, especially about the sensitive list as against the non-sensitive product as listed. And the rules of origin is the main factor of the pact itself. And so for now, we should be in the know of the products that as traders who will be in a position to trade in. And that is what we haven't gotten. We know the custom to custom thing is very important, it's very essential. Otherwise, things will come in before they will say you have to be cleared first, whether it qualifies within the rules of origin. So it is still very important these things haven't been communicated to us.
Away from the Continental Free Trade Agreement area, one other biting issue is the impact of Brexit on trade in Ghana. Exports from Ghana to the UK market may attract tariffs and quotas. This comes after the UK government backed down on an interim agreement that will have prevented tariff disruptions for goods exported to London from Ghana. George Raffi has more in this report.
Last Friday, the Trade Minister Alain Tremantin and his UK counterpart Les Truss initiated an interim agreement, or call it consensus. This is expected to ensure that exports from Ghana to the UK market will not attract any extra tariffs. The move was to allow the two countries to finalize talks and a new bilateral trade agreement between the two countries. However, in a surprise move, the UK government went back to amend the statement covering the interim agreement, saying that the engagement with the Ghanaian government is still ongoing and the pact will not be in place come January 1, 2021. This should mean that the trade terms between the two countries will be supervised by the World Trade Organization rules, meaning that tariffs will be applied on all exports to UK market as well as the same to the Ghanaian market. But for the Ghanaian firms that export to the UK market, this will make their goods and products expensive compared to their peers, thereby making them less competitive. The move has forced some of these firms in Ghana to cut down on their exports, a move that will lead to some layoffs and even possible shutdown of their business here in Ghana. This is because these manufacturing firms are yet to fully recover from the shocks of COVID-19 on their operations. The quota-free duty-free deal has kept most of these firms in operations for a long while. Ghana has currently been forced to negotiate a new trade deal with UK following the full implementation of Brexit. Ghana currently has a duty-free, quota-free deal with all countries in the EU market.
Now, Bitcoin has surged to a record high amid rising interest from investors and claims that the volatile cryptocurrency is on the way of becoming a mainstream trade across the globe. I have been interacting with the head of the IHAB in terms of Henry Cobbler on the impact this is going to have, especially on trade in Ghana. But first, though, let's put up a graph to check out the spike in the growth of the cryptocurrency between 2017 and 2021. You can see on your screen there the spike in the returns in the span of these years. 2020 has seen a huge spike, over $1,000, currently at $34,000 per trade. I got in touch with Henry Cobbler. He's a founder of ISOF Africa on the impact of this, not just around the world, but also that of Ghana.
Entrepreneurs mostly don't really see the importance of social media when it comes to
Well, as you could see, this indeed has also attracted so much concern across the world. We shall be bringing you details of this in our second segment. That'll be it for business. I'm Charles Aite.
Hope your new year has started well so far. Welcome to the sport. I'm Gary Al Smith, and we begin with the news that former Black Stars midfielder Emmanuel Agyemang Bedu has spoken about his decision to quit international football. You might recall that on the last day of last year, the news trended, and we reported it here as well. He was speaking to Nathaniel Ato on the Joy Sports Link.
What would you say to those who are also, talking about, the timing, that it's too early?
10 years in national team.
Yeah.
10 solid years, consistent.
Yeah.
78 games, 11 goals. I think if you mention like 10 players who have played more games in the national team, as right now we are talking, my name will be mentioned as well.
Sure.
Yeah, the likes of Olele Kingston, John Pencil,
sure,
maybe Stephen, Sule. 78 games with the national team is huge. And what I said at first, I went for a war 5 consecutive times. I think it's time to leave it for the young chaps to try. That is the simple message I can give. It's not about age. It have nothing to do about. I've been out for a long time because I had a lot of injuries from 2018, and I think I need to just focus on club football now.
I see.
All right, so still on that, he has defended the decision, and the 30-year-old, as you know, called time on his international career 3 years after his last appearance with the Black Stars. He made over 70 appearances for Ghana, scoring 11 goals, and he says he's keen on focusing on club football like you heard as well. Now, what about the disappointment? He lost to Ivory Coast in the 2015 finals of the AFCON, and he says that was the lowest point for him.
About the AFCON and the jinx. Would that be the lowest point for you, the fact that you were not able to win it for Ghana?
Yes, lowest disappointment.
Okay.
And
biggest disappointment?
The biggest one. Okay, the biggest one is one I should have bought some Lancer somewhere, and I thought that it was too far. I didn't know, like, in 2 years' time, Accra will be like this kind. So it was one of the biggest mistakes I've made. But in my career as a footballer,
sure,
is the AFCON and the penalties we lost when I was in Udinese against Sporting Praga.
I see.
We were supposed to qualify to the Champions League group stages. Yeah.
Okay.
But for the nation, the biggest regret is not winning anything for the nation when it comes to Blasters.
You know, on the two occasions, which is in Egypt, sorry, in Angola and in Equatorial Guinea, which one felt closer to you? I mean, which one, upon hindsight, sorry, I mean, which one felt, I mean, closer to the trophy?
I would say the 2015, because leading to penalty kicks and still lost the game is very hurtful. 2010, when we were going, they promoted most of them, the 20 young chaps, to the team. So the confidence level was not there. Ghanaians said, okay, let's give them a try. And like we get that one goal project, and we went to finals. Losing against Egypt is not anything so regrettable because they have a solid team. We were young coming up, so a lot of inexperienced players in the Blasters. So I think it worries a bit. But then the 2015 one was very, very hurtful. After going up with 2 penalty kicks and still lost the game, it's very hurtful.
They are playing games behind closed doors because of the pandemic. I'm Gary Alsman. Thank you for your time. Let's do this again sometime.
All right, time for Showbiz, and have Noella here. Hello, Noella.
Oh, I wish I could tell the viewers how you punished me.
Oh, how did I?
But it's okay. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, but we can go into that too. It's also Showbiz.
It's fine.
Okay, all right.
All right, so should we begin with Kobe Rana or Moesha? Who do you want?
Kobe Rana.
Okay, so Kobe is reacting to the Ghana Tourism Authority's reaction to the earlier claim that they had banned, you know, his movie from showing.
Yeah.
And I caught up with him. Here's what he had.
We received letters, we received messages, calls from all our venues in Accra, and then they told us that the Ghana Tourism Authority, under the orders or instructions of Kwesi Agyeman, their boss, says that they should not show the film with the president's restriction on cinemas, but our venues are not cinemas, universities and hotels. They are the same places that events have been going on. For example, CCB Auditorium, KNUST. Few days before, I directed and performed at a beauty pageant there. I was at Ashanti Music Awards held there. So that venue is not a cinema, and it has got nothing to do with that reason. Yes. So it's obvious that reason is not true. That COVID-19 instructions by the president, we are not part of it because no cinema will even open for us. You understand? And the second reason they give them is that they are not registered with them to hold entertainment events. I don't think any hotel or any school needs permission from Ghana Tourism Authority to hold programs at their school auditoriums or to hold any entertainment programs in their hotels. So in the nutshell, these reasons are a lie, a big lie. and it means that they just want to stop the movie. We are not pointing fingers. What we know is what we put out there, that Ghana Tourism Authority, under the instructions of Akwesi Agyeman. So we have boldly put that on my Instagram. We put the progress there every time. We keep appealing to His Excellency, who we know that he means well to the creative arts industry, to intervene on our behalf. And we are still waiting for justice, because we know that what Akwesi Agyeman, the CEO of Ghana Tourism Authority, ordered his people and the policemen to do was completely illegal. And we do not deserve that as creative artists.
A controversial issue. And my little piece on it is, see, I've seen the promo, and I think it looks like a great movie, something I'd love to see. But you can challenge the claims about whether cinemas should be allowed to operate because the people are having beauty pageants in the same venues and all that. But the directive is that the cinemas are not supposed to operate. Okay, the fact that they may not stop everybody else or enforce the law as far as everybody else is concerned does not mean that they can't enforce the law with you. So yes, you may say they may be unnecessarily picking on you, but that's the directive.
That's what I got from his reaction. But anyway, let's move away from that.
But I'm also uncomfortable with him, continuously insisting or mentioning the name of
Agyeman. He's a famous man.
But anyway, but it's something I'd love to see. And there are lots of ways you can actually put it out. You can put it out on
virtually,
YouTube and charge people,
just like Papaholic.
And Uncle Ebo does the same.
Totally agree with you. Anyway, so let's move away from that and talk about Moesha Budong, who believes she's the most trolled celebrity in Ghana. And there's an...
Well, she has a point.
Okay, and there's an interesting question I asked her, and how she answered it was something we want to take a listen to.
The most trolled celebrities, I'm the most talked about, and I just told I'm strong because I know who I am, and I don't let those things get to me. It's just part of it. I feel like people talk about you when they say something good to you, so it doesn't get to me. I'm just me. I speak the truth, and people just hear the truth. People here to hear the truth, and if you're not popping, they're not going to talk about you. So I guess I'm popping. So yeah, they will definitely talk about me.
Do you also think that you contribute to the reason why people troll you? Have you sat back to think, oh, maybe there's something that I'm doing that's making these people troll me?
That's what I'm saying. People troll you because they see something about you. That's why I keep saying, if you're nobody, nobody's going to talk about you. You understand? That means they see something about me that they want to talk about. Me, I'm just being. I'm not the only girl that, you understand, behaves like how I behave or take pictures like me. I'm just being me, and I don't care.
I mean, recently you came out very boldly and talked about...
You this girl.
You recently came out boldly and confirmed that indeed you've had, some, enhancement with your body. And, I remember when you came out first, when you started, you got a lot of, people bashing you and all of that. And today we see a lot of people, also enhance your bodies and everything. What do you make of that when you see them?
That is what I said. That's what I've said from the beginning. It's like the whole of Ghana bullied me and bashed me, calling me prostitute, water and water. So does it mean that everybody doing it? I've seen doctors, I've seen lawyers, I've seen politicians, pastors who are getting their body done. Does it mean that they're doing it for men or they're prostitutes? No, so they're doing it to feel good about themselves. So you see, that's what I've said. My hate, a lot of things that I've said or come out to say about myself has actually happened. The interview I had with CNN is... People are coming out naturally, talking about it and everything. When it comes to the surgery, as I said, I think it was just hate, and I just did that to look good. And I just tried to rise above the hate, and I was just doing me. And now people are getting to know, you understand? Everybody is cosmetics. Almost everybody, like a lot of people have got, have had their body done. So, yeah.
But when you look back, do you have any regrets?
No regrets. I think every step in life takes, it's a journey. We learn from our mistakes, we grow. You need to pass through some certain things as a woman to become a better woman and learn from your mistakes, and yeah.
Right.
Israel,
did I actually just see nipples sticking out?
No, you didn't. You just saw dots.
Dots?
Yeah, dots. All right, but for me, it's the hair flip for me, you know.
Yeah,
so like I was saying, Israel. But anyway, that'll be all for Showbiz.
Okay, thank you very much, but please.
You're welcome.
Next time, if you interview a celebrity who decides not to wear
a bra
to an event like that, you have to cover the nipples.
I should cover it for her.
Yeah, I think on the editing bench.
Okay, cool. I did that.
You put some
0 zeros. All right, that's fine.
Okay.
All
right, thank you very much for
You're welcome.
This Showbiz, Noella. We have more news coming your way. Don't go away. President of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, Dr. Domaso Strosung, has called on the government not to discriminate against private schools in the country, but treat them equally. He said for them to function effectively, they should be given the same opportunities as their counterparts in the public sector. He wants government to support private schools with learning aids or the personal protective equipment given to public schools, as well as grant them a moratorium on tax for a year. Joynews' Upper West Region's correspondent, Rafiq Salam, has been following up on the reopening of schools as announced by President Akufo-Addo in his 21st address.
According to the president of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, Dr. Domaso Strosung, it has been their considered view that schools in the country could have been reopened as far back as last September without causing much risks to the health of students based on assessment they have done, but government thought differently.
We are aware of many cases where students either have lost the appetite for any academic work and may not be coming back to school, or have strayed into some other social activities which will prevent their return to school. Some have gone into illegal mining, particularly those at the GHS and SHS level, and may not come back to school. Others are there who either have become pregnant and will feel shy to return, or have simply lost the learning culture and may not be able to return. Obviously, because of such people, and because of the amount of damage that is being done to our educational system, which has been down for 10 solid months, we think that the news of resumption is welcome news indeed for us.
He said school authorities in the country have been eager to get the schools reopened due to the damage that a long closure has done to the educational system in the country.
We would have wished government had announced the resumption way back in December 2020 to have given us sufficient time to get our houses in order before we resume. But to give us a little over 1 week to prepare and receive students is pushing us a little too hard.
After closing down for close to 10 months, the result is what is behind me. You can see the vehicles have not moved for close to 10 months, and some of them even have problems, and they need to be worked on by mechanics.
As you can see within our environment, you can see discarded furniture lying about, you can see buses that are grounded, you can see classrooms that are taken over by termites and cobwebs. We now have to go through, do a lot of renovation, quite a bit of repainting of our structures. Besides that, you see, I'm sure many people are aware of the fact that owing to the long closure, many of our staff have found other means of subsistence. You have teachers who will no longer be available when schools reopen. You have administrators who have found other work doing and may not come back to your institutions. So we have to go through even recruitment, get staff on board before we can resume.
At this material moment, what the private schools are looking up to government to do is not to discriminate against them.
Government has to treat all private schools as if they were public. What that entails is this. It means that whatever educational materials that are required, whatever infrastructure, whatever PPEs are required in public schools and which are supplied to public schools must be given to the private schools as well. We need a 1-year moratorium to get our act in place and to become, strictly speaking, private once again. But for now, we ought to be treated like the public schools are treated. There are some areas of cost that we think government can waiver for us in the time being. For instance, we should go on some tax holiday for at least 1 year. The district assembly levies and the operating permits and all those will have to be waived for us to get our act in place before we can pay those ones.
Over 1,000 students are expected to go into our senior school through this gate. According to the headmaster of the school, Mr. Adam Risu Tedman, the teachers are really excited. They will again have their students back to their fold.
My teachers are prepared. We have sat for so long, and everybody is now eager to be in the classroom. Students are eager, I believe, because I also have kids. If we are to rate in terms of percentages, I can peg it between 45 to 50%. This is because, as I indicated earlier, we are not in normal times. We need to have PPEs, talk of the Veronica buckets, talk of the hand sanitizers and what have you. Then also, the finances are earlier indicated. I think that is the engine for us to propel into the new academic year. So we are just waiting. As and when our accounts are hit, as and when the PPEs arrive, I think we will not have problem when it comes to reopening on the 18th.
Reporting for Joynews, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Public health expert and adjunct professor at the New York University, Nana Kofi-Kwache, is asking the government revise the current COVID-19 protocol in place for international travelers arriving in the country and quarantine all passengers instead of those who only test negative. It follows the review of the protocol by the president in his COVID-19 update Sunday.
Fellow Ghanaians, it has been well established that the very first cases of COVID-19 in Ghana were imported into our shores. Limiting importation of cases has thus been one of our main objectives since the outbreak of the disease in the country. We in Ghana have always been concerned about variant strains of the virus coming into the country. That is why when we opened our international airport on 1st September, we introduced one of the strictest testing regimes in the world, a 2-tier testing system, which indicated that all passengers arriving at Kotoka must be in possession of a negative PCR test result upon their arrival in Ghana, a test which should have been conducted not more than 72 hours before the scheduled departure from the country of origin. In addition to this, all passengers were to be subjected to a mandatory COVID test. As of 1st January 2021, a total of 712 positive cases out of 118,278 tests conducted have been recorded among international arrivals at the Kotoka International Airport. Indeed, the month of December alone recorded 387 cases. The positivity rate among international arrivals rose from 0.26% in September to 0.93% in December. These developments call for strengthening of the existing protocols to prevent the spread of the disease in Ghana in light of the new variant of the virus. Therefore, the following measures will be implemented in addition to existing guidelines on international travel for COVID-19 in Ghana. 1. All arriving passengers who test positive COVID-19, asymptomatic or not, will undergo mandatory isolation and treatment at a designated health facility or isolation center. The isolation will be for a period of 7 days at the cost of government. However, the final discharge of cases will be based on existing case management guidelines and protocols.
Nana Kofi-Kwachi, who's convinced the new COVID-19 variant has already crossed into Ghana, believes government should simply quarantine all persons who fly into the country. He's been speaking on Prime Morning on Joy Prime TV.
That reminds me of something that I believe Dr. Seydou Bekoy said on a show I was with one of your colleagues a couple months ago, actually, where he pointed out that they weren't certain if all the tests that were coming in were actually PCR. So there are some questions there. But that's why many of us, right from the beginning, were hoping that as part of their arrival routines, would have a quarantine in place for all arrivals, 7 days or something of that sort, to make sure we have a buffer against importation of more cases or new strains. Because in this case, what we are trying to defend against really are the new strains or the new variants that have been detected in the United Kingdom and in South Africa. But in the United Kingdom's case especially, it's important for us to know that it's not a strain that necessarily originated there. That's not what the scientists are saying. The UK just happens to have, along with South Africa, some of the highest genomic surveillance efforts during COVID-19. So they are just more likely to find a new strain if they import one. So we don't exactly know where it came from. And frankly, given how many countries recently have detected similar strains in their own country, the UK strain or South Africa strain, it would be kind of a stretch to assume that we don't have any of this in Ghana at all. Maybe we have it in small numbers. Okay. But given the low genomic surveillance we've been doing, with great gratitude to WACDIP for really carrying that effort, it's hard to say that we don't exactly have that. So many of the measures here that we're talking about kind of feels like bolting the door after the horse is bolted. And in this case, we have to make sure that all the measures really actually would have an impact on reducing that risk there. So yes, people are coming in and are going to be isolated, which is a good thing. But we have to also bear in mind that of the ones arriving, the antigen testing we're doing at Kutika is designed to catch only about 83% of the actual positive cases. So if you're not adding a quarantine, some people are going to slip through the cracks still. So it's progress, but there's still work to be done to make sure that we have a more effective and waterproof system.
Warning, Ghana could soon see a surge in COVID-19 cases after the blatant disregard for safety protocols during the Christmas and New Year celebrations. He also cites a blatant disregard for the president's directive that beaches, pubs and nightclubs remain closed, which Joynews checks revealed has largely been ignored.
A lockdown is not a cure. It's a temporary treatment for a pandemic, and the goal there is to use the time it affords you to slow down the community spread, to scale up your actual public health response through testing and contact tracing so you can actually catch up with where the virus is. So it's necessary in countries where they're acknowledging, the reality that they're facing, that transmission is going on at a very high rate and infections are happening at a very high rate. They're trying to impose a circuit breaker, which is terminology we've heard in the UK and the US, to really slow down that kind of spread. After the season we've had in December, we will see a lot of community spread, which we already know is happening from what WACDIP and Inauguration have told us. So I'm not entirely comfortable with the current state of affairs, but I do think that there are still things we can do outside of a lockdown that can slow things down. But if we do not do those things to use the behavioral variables, the fact that mass gatherings are happening, indoor gatherings are happening, parties are happening, clubs are opening. The fact that we know those things are there, if those things don't change, then this becomes inevitable at a point if we really are serious about keeping the pandemic at bay.
President Akufo-Addo will be sworn in on Thursday, January 7, as president for the Republic of Ghana for the next 4 years. This will be his second and final term in office. A number of arrangements, including security, are underway towards the big day. Information Minister Pius Hajide announced on the precinct announced the Princess of Parliament as the venue for the swearing-in ceremony. The Ghana Police Service has been giving further security arrangements on ensuring an incident-free inauguration. Shilabi Bachman is Director of Public Affairs at the Ghana Police Service.
The security will be provided by personnel of the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana Armed Forces and security agencies. We will provide the necessary security environment around all dignitaries attending the inaugural ceremonies. All the VIPs would be offered close protection as appropriate at the accommodation and every place they are earmarked to go. The venues will also be provided with maximum security. We are talking about the entire State House complex, the Accra International Conference Center, the Accra Sports Stadium, and the Black Star Square and their environs. All these places will be secured and patrolled by security personnel. Crash barriers will also be mounted at certain areas to cordon off and control movements to these venues, with security personnel directing movements. If you are not an invitation card bearing person or you are not accredited to come close to these places, please stay away from these places on the 6th and on the 7th of January, that is Thursday in particular. Please be reminded that there will also be officers in plain clothes who will be moving about just like anybody else, and so you cannot be seen to be doing any wrongdoing because we will arrest you. COVID-19 protocols will be strictly enforced, and therefore we encourage dignitaries and all role players, particularly those who have been given accreditation, to respect same. There will be medical emergency and fire safety provided by the police, so police will have field clinics mounted at the State House and other vantage points, and the Ghana National Fire Service will also mount stations at strategic locations to ensure fire safety. Now, police will also perform ceremonial rules, and what will we be doing? The state sword bearer is a police officer. The police band will perform. We will also perform escort duties by the police mounted squadron and the motorcade, of course. We are asking the public and we are urging them to continue to cooperate to security arrangements for the inaugural ceremonies of 7th January 2021 in support of the constitutional framework of governance.
Right, and that'll be it for the Bulletin. I'm Israelite. Thank you very much for watching. Up next, we'll bring you a Hotline documentary.